Welcome to Candlelit Blow Jobs, an intimate experience between two cousins, Brandon
and Luis,
Sit back, light the candles,
and try some of those bath salts.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another special episode of Candlelit Blow Jobs, but today is a special one, a real special one. We have a guest with us, which I will introduce now in a second. As always, I am Brandon, and joining me is, of course, my only co-host for this show, Luis.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
And we have a special guest, my other co-host from another show of ours, William.
Our menage a trois.
Menage a trois.
Hello, everybody.
That's right, William. Enjoy the warm embrace of us two.
Yeah, this is a
as
different
we stare
show.
at you very, very awkwardly as you join us in this conversation.
So, this is going to be a different show. This is a special three-parter that we're doing, basically talking about one of the most influential animes of all time, and also a show that defined a generation. And that is Dragon Ball Z. Honestly, so yeah, before we get into it, this is the first of three. We're basically cutting up the entire series. We're going to be talking about the entire series, but we're going to cut it up into three parts. The first episode, we're going to be talking about what I like to call the Freeza arc, which is from the beginning of Dragon Ball Z all the way till the end of the Freeza arc. And then second episode will be everything after that up until the end of the Cell Saga, and then the third and final episode will be everything until the end of Dragon Ball Z.
So basically Majin Buu.
Yeah, the Majin Buu saga, and then the little arc after that where, we'll get to that. But, so...
Before we get to that, though, what was the reason, why do you love Dragon Ball Z? William, you want to start off?
Oi,
Oy vey.
Putting me on the spot right away.
Always, brother. Always.
Dragon Ball Z was... Okay, so first off, I started watching Dragon Ball in French.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day when you brought it up. I think it was on Man Bites Film, or was it off air? I don't remember.
No, it was on film. Yeah.
It was on. You were talking about it. They used to watch it in French. Yeah.
I used to watch it in French, so it was very interesting hearing the differences in the dubbing, because I mean, obviously, if it's not Japanese, or actually Dragon Ball's Korean.
No, Dragon Ball's Japanese.
Dragon Ball's
Nope, Japanese, dude.
It's Japanese as hell, man. The creator, Akira Toriyama, baby. Woo! Yeah, it's super Japanese.
What? Okay.
Yeah, no, trust me. I got you, bro. Yeah, no, it's super Japanese. It defined an entire generation, like when it came to manga or anime, basically. But yeah, I'll talk about that after you speak about why you like Dragon Ball Z so much.
Dragon Ball Z was in the middle of me watching a lot of, again, animes in French, from the original Dragon Ball, which I watched here and there, to Saint Seiya, which also known as Nine Nights of Zodiac.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of other ones, which I know them, again, I know the name in French, not in English, so I could say them and nobody knows what the hell they are. I think Lone Star is one of them, or...
Who?
Lone Star, or something about like this old, it's like kind of like an old Western, but it's very violent, very graphic.
Oh, Outlaw Star?
Outlaw Star, there you go.
Yeah, that's a great show. That's a fantastic show.
If you were to translate it from French, you would get Ken the Survivor.
Interesting.
That was the name given. But Dragon Ball Z was the first of all the animes that I watched religiously. I made sure to watch every single possible episode as it got released. If I missed other ones, I really wouldn't care that much. But this is the one where I'm like, oh, good, there's a new episode coming out. And there was no... It was kind of like the Game of Thrones now. It's like, Nobody talk to me. Nobody say a word to me. And
And
um,
what's crazy is that anime was a completely different beast back in what was this, like the 80s, 90s that you were watching it?
yeah, and I mean, as the sagas progress, you can see also the advancement of the anime,
Yeah, of the
of the
animation.
going
Yeah,
from the Seiyan saga all the way to Boo.
yeah.
Um,
Dude, it was almost 7 years that so to give anybody perspective of how long Dragon Ball in general was on air, it was on air uninterrupted every week from 1986 until 1997. That's how long Dragon Ball was on air. Mind you, when I say that, it was, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT. They were uninterrupted every week for 11 years, basically. It was on
Jesus, that's
primetime
insane.
television. Yeah, on Japan. Like, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball changed everything. Not only here in America, because I feel like without Dragon Ball and other animes like, Pokemon and stuff like that, I don't think anime would be a thing here in the United States.
yeah, I'm not laughing at what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's just when somebody puts Dragon Ball and Pokemon in the same sentence.
Look,
and it does make sense, because if it wasn't for those two, God knows where it would be as far as Japanese anime goes.
And
but
we can go even further below that. Like, honestly, where Dragon Ball Z aired in America, after like
America.
In America. No, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. Sorry. After what's that shit that it's called, like, on TV? Shit, man.
Cartoon Network?
No. Where, like, a show is, like, in some sort of syndication. There's, like, a different word for
Prime
it.
time?
No, it's not. Whatever. It was so.
Moving on.
Yeah, so basically, before Dragon Ball Z got onto Toonami, it was, like, on other channels like UPN and I think WB and stuff like that. But when it got on,
I remember it being on Univision.
Yeah, it was also on Spanish television channels here in Miami. Like, I remember watching specific episodes of it, like, uncut on Telemundo.
Yep.
Which was funny.
And balls and everything.
Yeah. So, but honestly, there's one anime that if it wasn't for Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball actually would have never premiered here. Toonami, or Cartoon Network, which owned Toonami, they were basically riding on the fact that if Sailor Moon did well, they were going to basically dub DBZ and premiere in America. And thankfully, Sailor Moon did well. So that's why. So in America, give a round of applause to Sailor Moon, because of that anime. We got DBZ, thankfully. So
that changed the generation, though. I remember when Sailor Moon come out, that everybody was talking about it and all that stuff. That was just, it was incredible.
Yeah. But it completely, like, I completely agree with what William is saying. Like, I used to watch DBZ religiously. I would watch it every day. I would come home from school, and I would put on Cartoon Network to watch Toonami. And because of Toonami, I found out about DBZ, Gundam Wing, Sailor Moon, all these bunch of anime. Like, I know you liked it, Lewis, but you didn't get into it as much as I did.
I got into Dragon Ball Z because of the fighting. I loved that aspect of it, how badass it was. And I truly enjoyed, because I didn't really get into Dragon Ball. Brandon did after Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball's amazing. Dragon Ball's my favorite.
I actually don't enjoy it at all. I tried watching it multiple times, because obviously you had introduced it to me, and I was all right. It was not my thing, honestly.
Yeah.
The reason I think that I connected with Dragon Ball Z was mostly because of the Vegeta and Trunks character. I think that's what lured me in. First, obviously, Vegeta,
I
and
understand.
Then
Honestly, I understand. They're one of my favorite. Those are probably my two favorite characters in the show. But it's funny that you picked those two characters, because, like, by the time the Dragon Ball Z came out, you were either a preteen or when it came out in America, not in Japan. When it came out here, you were like a preteen, like almost teenager, right?
I had started watching it at a friend's house when I was 10 years old.
So, like, you know, it's funny that you go for, like, the really, like, emo, like emotional characters like Vegeta, and then I can't fault you for liking Vegeta, and I can't fault you for liking Trunks, because Trunks looks badass with his jacket and his sword and shit.
I personally enjoyed their story arc, and
yes.
the fact that they had a story arc.
Yes, they're one of the few characters in DBZ that actually have character growth and progression and stuff.
Well, not only that, but it jumped from this kind of like actual character that had flaws to which is something that was really seen a lot in animation. Mind you, this is animation in general. At least in my point of view, in my world at that time, 10-year-old Lewis, there was no real animated character with flaws.
Yeah.
Usually there are really perfect characters or really dumb characters falling for something stupid. But Vegeta's character was just this prideful person that was trying to do the right thing and learn from his mistakes, which was just, it was mind-blowing seeing that as a character in an animated series.
Yeah.
Which changed the game for me, honestly.
So to I guess educate you guys, and for any listener that doesn't know, Dragon Ball Z is characterized, its genre is called a battle manga. That's usually, it's like a lot of fighting and stuff like that. DBZ came out, or Dragon Ball came out in the 80s when, funny enough, all the main characters in manga and animation at the time, in anime, were these big burly dudes. They were very muscular. There wasn't a lot of story. It was more like monster of the week kind of thing going on. Like, anime at the time was, just to say a couple, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the beginning of it, because it's still going on today. And the most famous one is, you might have heard of it, is called Fist of the North Star. No? Well, yeah, so, but they all have the same thing. It's like these big burly dudes, and they all like fight and shit like that. And then Akira Toriyama comes out after just finishing his gag manga, like this, you know, this funny slice of life called Dr. Slump, and he creates Dragon Ball. And Dragon Ball actually at first didn't do well, but it started gaining traction. And as of today, Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball, because it's actually not, the manga's just referred to as Dragon Ball, it's not Dragon Ball Z. It's one of the most influential like mangas of all time. Like Oda, the writer of the most famous manga in the world right now, One Piece, has said basically that he took inspiration from Toriyama, and so did the creator of Naruto and Bleach and stuff like that. Like, Dragon Ball Z has like, it's cemented like how much it's done for anime and manga. It's incredible. But yeah, let's get into the actual show. So,
all right.
William, you still there? You've been quiet.
This starts off with,
off
with such a great opening sequence into the Dragon Ball Z. It's this crazy hick, what do you call it, farmer dude in America, quote unquote. You know, this is alternate reality. So, mind you, everything that plays out in this world is an alternate reality. It's not something that you could actually pinpoint a particular place. But it's quote unquote Earth of some form or another, and this is quote unquote some random hillbilly in the United States, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell? Some alien boy landed on my thing,
basically.
And oh shit, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna try to shoot this guy," and he tries to shoot him, and he stops him, and goodbye.
Yeah, he flicks the bullet. He grabs the bullet and flicks it back and hits him in the face.
That's our first introduction to the Saiyan, actual proper Saiyan race.
So what I find crazy about Dragon Ball Z is that, you know, so let's say you had watched Dragon Ball before. You had seen all 153 episodes. You come in knowing that nothing about Goku. You think he's a normal boy, but it's an anime. It's a manga. He has a tail. Yeah, he looks at the moon and he turns into a giant monkey. Whatever, it is what it is, right? But then Dragon Ball Z immediately, within like 1 to 2 episodes, completely flips that on its head. And this man that Lewis was just describing, whose name is Raditz,
Yes.
basically tells them that, hey, you're my little brother, and we're part of a race called the Saiyans that basically go around the galaxy enslaving people. And it's like, what? And it completely changes it right off the bat. And so it starts off with the Saiyan saga. We start with Raditz, and it culminates in the fight with Raditz versus Goku and Piccolo, whom don't like each other. They're basically, at all. They're rivals. They don't like each other. And this is the first time that we actually get introduced also to power levels in the show, which lasts for a bit, and then eventually they just stop with it because it just gets arbitrary and the numbers get way too large. But
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, so they start fighting Raditz, and it's funny. Raditz, I like Raditz. His design is cool, and I wish they did more with him, but it's kind of, Raditz was more like a setup for the actual like bulk of the Saiyan saga, which is when Nappa and Vegeta come out. But yeah, so they're fighting.
Let's go into Raditz's fight, because that
No. I wasn't gonna skip this. I was just saying, like, yeah. So the fight is, they fight him, and it's this crazy, like, they blow up mountains, and Piccolo loses an arm and all this stuff and regrows it.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Goku's son, 4-year-old son Gohan, is abnormally powerful, even more powerful maybe than his father at moments when he his
the
rage
coolest
takes
part
over.
is that it's brought out by rage,
and
by emotion,
by
so
anger.
it's a little bit, it's similar to what Goku does in Dragon Ball, but at the same time it's not, because it's completely uncontrollable.
Yeah.
Goku kind of has somewhat control over what he does when he turns, but Gohan does not in any way or form.
Yeah, Gohan is a much angrier child than Goku is, and much younger too. And then what honestly is probably the craziest thing in any like anime. You think like in an anime or manga like that early on, the craziest thing happens. The main character dies.
Yep.
Like, literally gets killed because he sacrifices himself so that Piccolo can basically do his special beam cannon to kill Raditz and unfortunately kill Goku. And that starts off the other bulk of as I was saying, when Raditz tells them that 2 other Saiyans are on the way to Earth, and that if they thought he was powerful, these 2 are way more powerful than he is.
Yep.
And everyone and their mother on Earth starts training because they're like, shit, we're gonna get destroyed by these 2 Saiyans. And this is actually funny enough when we get into the first filler of Dragon Ball Z. So I told you guys, but for anyone that's
I don't call it filler. I think honestly, like, what I enjoy about a lot of war movies and movies that are about battles in particular is the build up to the battle. Very much like Lord of the Rings, the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
The build up to that battle is epic as the battle itself, which that makes it that much more intense. And the build up of this like fight between Goku and Vegeta not only culminates in this series, but
later on,
in the sagas later on, and it's like, oh my god, this just takes complete control over the whole series.
I'm sorry. Like, there's so much foreshadowing in just the first saga alone already.
Yeah.
That you come to find out later on, like the whole Piccolo taking Gohan to go train him, Goku dying. I mean, how many times does Goku die in DBP alone?
Well, that's the thing. I'll get into that later, but like that's my problem with Dragon Ball Z, particularly because of the Dragon Balls, is that there's no like, you can't fuck up. You can always wish someone back. So there's no like, oh shit, that person's gonna die. Like it sucks. In other anime or any other show, like if somebody's gonna die, you're like, that you care about, you're like, oh my god, this person can't come back if they die. That's not a thing.
Well,
in Dragon Ball.
okay, so put it this way: until we saw this series, you got to put yourself in our mindset now. This is hindsight is 2020, but at the time when
back
we were
then,
watching
yeah.
it,
When I
we
saw
didn't
Goku
know
die,
that.
I was like, "What?" I was like,
We
this is
didn't
the
know
main
that.
Oh yeah, for sure. It probably
So
blew
we knew
my.
he could come back once, but we didn't know that he could come back again. So
Well,
the stakes were
actually,
high always.
actually, so yeah, I'll get to that later. But they actually at the beginning they can only come back once, but then they kind of retcon that later because of something that they do. But yeah, they all do this. But what I was saying,
end up going to Goku starts training with King Kai.
I love that
and
character,
has to
by the way.
travel the snake.
I love that character.
Right?
Oh yeah, I
With
love
the
King
monkey?
Kai. Yes, with
Gregory?
with Gregory, which is the cricket, and Bubbles, which is the monkey. Yeah, no, you're fine. But what I was saying earlier, filler. So this is the first filler arc or filler part in Dragon Ball Z, which is basically means the manga always has to be ahead of the anime. So if the anime is catching up, depending on the studio, they'll do filler arcs, which is horrible. It's things that there is an arc in Dragon Ball Z that is completely original to the anime that we'll get to later, or they'll just do filler episodes, like they'll drag out fights so that the manga can get ahead.
Which they do a lot of.
Which they do a lot of in Dragon Ball Z. So this is the first part. Like, there's a bunch of. Do you remember the episode when everybody is training, for the fight with Vegeta and Nappa? When they go to Kami's lookout and they go into this room where they fight two Saiyans.
Yes.
Do you remember?
The Ghost Saiyans.
The Ghost Saiyans. That they're like, it's like hundreds of years in the past and they get their asses handed to them by them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's filler. That never happens in the manga.
Yeah, which I thought it was cool because it's
cool.
Again, it's building the suspense, and also every one of these little tiny planets that Nappa and Vegeta visit and completely massacre every time they visit one of these planets. It's just building that tension, that dread, that sense of ominous feeling of these two approaching villains that are coming, or so we think.
Yeah, and in one of the planets, Vegeta actually has a different color scheme for some odd reason.
Yeah, he's like a bluish, right?
No, he's like, his hair is like this orangish, like this orange color, and his armor's also kind of like an orange tint. I have no idea why they did that, why Toriyama was like, yeah, let's make him slightly orange.
Well, I mean, on different planets, the color scheme is going to be different because of the atmosphere.
But then, but you see him in other planets. Excuse me, and like he looks fine. He looks like the normal black hair, white and yellow armor, and it's like, what? I've always wondered, why did Toriyama choose to make him that color?
Maybe he was trying to figure out which way they wanted to put him. So
maybe they did it for that episode, and he was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone trains, and it basically gets to the day when Nappa and Vegeta crash land in the middle of a city. And you see Nappa completely unleash his power, where he decimates this entire city.
Which that's when we start seeing the mass scale destruction.
Yeah, like this is like the jump from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z when it comes to like destruction and power is like ridiculous.
And then this is pretty much the same formula that's used for every single series moving forward. Every introduction to a new enemy follows this exact same structure.
Look,
but it's done a little differently, obviously.
I've always said it. I don't mean to sound mean. I love Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball Z has a shitty plot. It has a plot of bad guy shows up, bad guy shows up, they train, they beat bad guy. Rinse and repeat. That is literally Dragon Ball Z in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It's a shitty plot, but it's done in very, cool ways with really cool characters and stuff like that, and some of the enemies look really badass. But yeah, William, you've been quiet. Talk to us, boy. Come on, man.
I get lost hearing people talking about,
it's okay.
Things that
I
like as well.
I understand.
I mean, you are correct. It is the same in a nutshell. The same, bad guy shows up, yada yada yada. It just seems that every time somebody finds something new about themselves and discovers, something new, like we have Goku going Super Saiyan, and then we have what do we have? We have Vegeta for later on also coming, and then you find out Trunks shows up and he's already a Super Saiyan.
That's another problem that I have with DBZ, is that like transformations at one point kind of lose their luster. At first you're like, whoa, that's
everybody
cool.
At one point it's like, oh, it's legendary, and it's Super Saiyan, and then all of a sudden Goku goes Super Saiyan, and everybody follows suit.
There's a line that Vegeta says to his son Trunks, not future Trunks, actual like his son. Right before Boo shows up, they're training, and he's actually never seen his son go Super Saiyan. He doesn't even know that he can do that, and Trunks turns Super Saiyan and starts like, because I think if I remember correctly, Vegeta turns up like the gravity in the room and Trunks can't move, so he turns Super Saiyan, and he looks at Trunks like, what? Like, you're 8 years old and you can turn Super Saiyan, something that it took me my entire life to do? Yeah. And it's just funny, like that shit about Dragon Ball Z that kind of sucks, that like at certain point everyone can just do it, and then the power creep, like by the end of Dragon Ball Z, and then when you get into other series like Super and GT, if you're not Goku and Vegeta, you suck, literally.
I mean,
trust me, like the power creep is so real in those shows. Like by the end of it, if you're not like, let's say Super, in Super there are only 2 characters that can turn Super Saiyan Blue, this transformation, right? Literally, no one can compete with them. Like, everyone else, Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo, they're all obsolete. It sucks.
They build to the whole thing.
That's what sucks about DBZ. I love the show, but unfortunately, as the show progressed, it started, like, leaving certain characters in the dust. Like, by the end of Z and Super, Yamcha's a joke. Yamcha's a fucking joke.
The quote that you're referring to,
joke pretty much at the beginning of Z.
Yeah, no, Yamcha like throughout
in Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball is fine, and then at the beginning he's okay. During the Saiyan saga, he's fine. The problem is he gets kamikazed by a fucking Cyberman. Like, what is he gonna do?
I think the quote that you were going to say about Vegeta is, every time I reach a new level of strength, a greater power appears to challenge my authority.
Yeah.
It's as if fate is laughing at me with a big stupid grin, just like Kakarot. I love that line.
So going back to what we were talking about, so Vegeta and Nappa show up. Nappa completely decimates this city, and the Z Fighters, as they're referred to in the series, show up to fight Nappa and Vegeta. The Z Fighters consist of Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo, Yamcha, Chaozu, and Tien. And this is a year. A year has passed since Raditz, so they had a whole year to train. And before Vegeta and Nappa start fighting, they basically unleash these like green alien-looking dudes called Cybermen. And it does not start out well. As I said earlier, one of them grabs Yamcha and blows himself up and kills Yamcha. And then basically they all start fighting the Cybermen. They all kill them. And then the real fight starts. Like, Nappa's like, all right, cool. You showed that you can beat the Cybermen. Let's fight. And Nappa is a completely like cold-blooded, ruthless piece of shit. Yeah, like he's vicious.
And mind you, at this time, Goku is still nowhere to be found. We don't know if he's coming back yet. Supposedly he will be, but when and where, we don't know yet. So he's in the back of everybody's mind, but they are a bit buying time for the end of the world, basically, at this point.
For their trump card, which is Goku to show up from the afterlife and, try to get them out of this. So they all start fighting Nappa, and one by one, they start falling. Like, Chaozu blows himself up to maybe kill Nappa. Doesn't work. And then what I think is one of the most badass scenes is when Nappa punches Tien's arm off. And
dude, that was awesome.
He just goes, douche, and Tien's like, like with no arm, and you're just like, Jesus. And
it's brutal.
It's brutal.
It's brutal.
It's so brutal.
The power difference, you could really tell. And
yeah. And
I think it goes to that point that you were saying, Brandon, 100%. It's like you could see the difference between a Saiyan and a non-Saiyan.
Yeah,
it's alien and human, you know?
It's incredible. And it's cool, like little things. So when I was in high school, about like when I started high school around my 9th grade, so like 13 years ago, Funimation started releasing these things called the orange boxes, which I know if you're like a fan of Dragon Ball Z, the orange boxes are looked down upon, like they're not good transfers to DVD, but whatever. So I started getting in them, and these are completely uncut. So there were things that I had never seen in Dragon Ball Z because I was watching them on TV and they were heavily edited and whatnot. That a cool thing, as Tien is fighting Nappa, Launch, a character from Dragon Ball, the girl that sneezes and her hair color changes and stuff, that she turns into like a real badass bitch when she sneezes. She's actually drinking in a bar because she knows that Tien is gonna die.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, this is dark, dude. This is what I love about television that is from other countries, is that they do things that here in America they would never do on a kids show. And Dragon Ball Z is a kid's show. Dude, like, this girl's literally in a bar drinking her life away because she knows that the man she loves is going to die.
And this is the beginning of the series.
And this is the beginning. Like, you're like, what? So, yeah, then...
That is one thing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No. Go ahead, of course. Go ahead.
Transitioning from, like, the European to the American is... It was not edited when it was on a kids show in Belgium, or well, the show was French, but it was not edited. Like, you saw everything. Like, when Goku dies, you see him die. Like, you see the thing go through him and the hole in his chest afterwards.
Well, you saw that too in America, but it, like, they blacked out the hole. Like, they didn't show blood, that kind of stuff. That's
exactly. This was not edited watching it. So it was an adjustment as well. Getting used to watching the show and scenes missing. Like, there's whole scenes that are like completely missing because there was no way to. I'm sorry.
No. Like, going off of what you just said, I'm gonna bring up a scene actually at the end of the Saiyan saga that was completely edited out of American television because it was, I guess, they deemed it too much, like it was too graphic or whatnot. To show on Toonami. So, but yeah, continue with what you're saying.
No, I was saying, like, and I mean, granted, there were certain scenes that had to be edited, and they had no, whatchamacallit, it didn't alter the show by editing them, right? But they were still like you said, like with the whole Goku thing. They edited the blood. They edited, a whole bunch of different things, and it sucks because if you're gonna watch something, I feel that it should be, you should watch it as it's meant to be watched. But
I agree,
I
but
understand why.
I don't know, man. They're like, hey, oh my God, you're gonna see a penis or something, or you're gonna see blood, or it's, and honestly, like at the end of the day, Dragon Ball Z is not that violent. It's not. It hasn't in comparison to other anime and other shows, Dragon Ball Z is not that bad. But hey, man, I guess in the 90s, American television was super different, and they were like, screw that. We're not showing that on television here,
Yeah.
But, then he kills Tien, and then Nappa's gonna kill Gohan, and Piccolo gets in front of him. Mind you, Piccolo's a character that up until this point is ruthless, doesn't care about anyone but himself. But in that year that he basically takes Gohan and starts like training him, he gains like a liking to him, a friendship. And I guess in that moment he's like, fuck this, I'm not going to let this kid die. And he sacrifices himself. But in doing so, he completely fucks everything up and sets up the new arc, basically. But Lewis, go more into that.
So basically, with his death, not only does Goku realize this, because this is what sets Goku off on his passion to defeat these two villains, is because of, obviously, he was trying to kill his son, and he realizes when Piccolo's what do you call it, when he shows up to the scene eventually, and he sees Piccolo down on the floor dead.
Yeah.
And Gohan crying over him, and that just sets him off on this internal rage that he completely controls and subdues, but he uses it later on with the Kaioken, and he morphs into that format of him.
Love that. Like that scene, like the whole when he shows up and Nappa's like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna fight you now," and like Goku just decimates him, just like
a couple punches,
like
too.
Literally, he does Kaioken, and like Nappa can't keep up with him, and then actually before that he starts powering up, and Nappa
before we get into that, because of obviously Piccolo's death, Piccolo is connected to Kami, because that is the evil version of Kami that he spit out in Dragon Ball, and because of his death, Kami dies. Because of Kami's death, the dragon disappears. So do the Dragon Balls. So now they don't know what to do at this point in the series.
Yeah, at this point in the series,
leads to the Namek. Saga.
This leads into the Namek, but at this point they don't know about Namek, and also I think at this point they're just like, well, let's just defeat Vegeta and Nappa because these are the threats. We need them out of our face, because if not, shit's gonna go down and it's not gonna be good. So
exactly.
He shows up, he starts powering up, and then the meme comes from it where Nappa asks Vegeta, what's the scouter say? So Vegeta and Nappa wear these things that I don't understand this.
Still want one.
I don't understand why this happens, but the Z Fighters can sense energy. They can sense your ki, as it's called, right? But the Saiyans,
that was trained by Master Roshi. Roshi.
Oh yes, that's it. Thank you. And so the Saiyans have these like ear computer things, a scouter they're called, with this like screen in front of one of their eyes that can detect a person's power level.
Correct.
So, Vegeta and Nappa, like everyone on Earth, even the Z Fighters, they're powerful, but they're nowhere near their power levels. So Goku shows up, starts powering up, and Nappa asks Vegeta what's his power level, and Vegeta says it's over 9,000 and crushes the scouter. And that's when Nappa gets scared, because Nappa's power level is less than 9,000. And that's when shit gets real.
And we get the first of many cockeyed looks from Vegeta, where he does this kind of like sideways, like, huh? Which is awesome. It's so badass looking.
So, Goku completely decimates Nappa with the Kaioken, which is a technique that he learned from King Kai. And he leaves Nappa on the floor, basically, like, from what I take, like paralyzed, because he punches Nappa. Like, remember that Nappa's just like dangling over him.
He completely cripples him.
Yeah, he cripples him, and then Nappa looks up at Vegeta like, "Help me!" And Vegeta, this is the first time that you see how ruthless Vegeta is. He grabs Nappa, throws him up into the air, and kills him. And you're like, okay. And so then Goku tells Vegeta, "Let's go somewhere else. You and me, let's fight."
No, hold on. You're missing one of the greatest quotes from Vegeta.
What?
He goes, "Don't remind me. I'm mad enough to hurt somebody, and pounding you just might be the therapy I need." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right." Yes, I remember seeing that as a 10-year-old me and going, "Oh shit's gonna get real quick."
So Vegeta and Goku go to the middle butt fuck nowhere. And this is actually one of my favorite scenes in Dragon Ball Z, when they're on these like pillars of rock, and Vegeta's like above him, like with his arms crossed, not even in a fucking like fighting stance, and Goku like does his stance, and so does Vegeta, and it's like, I remember it's just like one little rock falls, and then they just go at each other, and they start fighting, and then Gohan and Krillin show up, and then Yajirobe's all the way there. He's like super scared because he's a pussy, and honestly, one of the coolest scenes in Dragon Ball when Vegeta does the Gallic Gun and Goku does the Kamehameha and they clash.
Yes. Which
And,
it's been
oh my God.
it's been repeated every time they clash now because that's like the signature of the initiating of the battle.
Yeah, and just they fight. Goku gets his ass beaten by Vegeta, and then basically they think that Gohan is their last resort because he has his tail, so he turns into a monkey. Well, Vegeta turns into a monkey, and then Yajirobe cuts his tail off.
Yep.
And then Gohan turns into a monkey.
Fucking Roby. Oh my God, one of the unsung heroes. I'm sorry.
That guy.
One of the unsung heroes of his entire series is Yajirobe.
I love that character so much.
Does what he needs to do, stays the fuck out of trouble,
William,
and he's like, I'm out.
You had to chime in on the chubby dude that saves the day, didn't you?
Yeah, fuck you guys. But notice the chubby dude saves the day.
Yep.
That's giggity.
So Gohan turns into a monkey, starts like destroying Vegeta, but unfortunately Vegeta cuts his tail off and Gohan reverts back into a child. And then during all this, Goku tells Krillin that the only thing that he has left is the Spirit Bomb. Yep. So which is also another technique that he learned from King Kai. So Krillin does the Spirit Bomb, which is basically he takes the life energy from things around the planet and all this stuff, and he creates a ball. And he throws it, and then Gohan hits it back and hits Vegeta with it. And completely fucks him up. And
to the point where he's literally like crawling on the ground. Yeah,
he's crawling to his pod, and he's like, I'm out of here. This is the Prince of Saiyans, a man that has never known what defeat is. And it's completely been destroyed by lowly Earthlings and a low tier Saiyan, and he leaves Earth. And this is the scene that I was talking about when I brought it up with William. Is they didn't show this in the American version that they showed on TV, but after the fight, Bulma and everybody, they go around and they pick up the dead.
Yep.
And it's so fucked up, dude. Like they pick up Piccolo, Tien and Yamcha. They can't pick up Chaozu because he blew himself up. But it's this really solemn like
where's Chaozu? Over there, and up there.
They gotta get a basket.
But it's this really solemn like holy shit,
hold
man.
My beer.
Like
where's Chaozu? Humpty Dumpty.
We're like 40 episodes into this show, and the main characters have won, but at what cost?
And Goku's completely like destroyed,
he's
destroyed
wrecked.
because he pushed his body to Kaioken 10.
Yeah, like
Kaioken 10.
Yeah, it's
and
a limit,
it
basically.
Completely, like he's hurting. Every muscle in his bone hurts, which sets up for the next motion and the next series. That when they go up to Yami's Yami's lookout, Kami's lookout.
There you go.
Kami's lookout.
By the way, do you know what Kami?
Popo,
do you know what Kami means?
God.
Yeah, it's actually God. It's like the Japanese
because
word for God.
He forgot his name. It got lost to time. That's how old he is, and he just took on the name God because that's what he became. But Mr. Popo tells him, "Oh yes, you could go to Namek, the planet where what do you call it?
Kami and Piccolo
came from.
Yeah,
and maybe they could help you there because if he created the Dragon Balls, then somebody there potentially could too. Yeah. So they find the spaceship that initially where Kami and Piccolo both together came to Earth on." And they take that spaceship and travel to what's the name of the planet
Namek.
again?
Namek,
sorry.
Yeah.
And what do you call it? Goku got left behind though because he's completely discrepant, like completely
he's
crippled.
He's like in a complete body cast, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's completely crippled. So he's like, no, you guys go ahead, try to get the Dragon Balls and stuff like that, and then I'll follow after. As soon as I get healthy, I'll follow right behind. And honestly, the only reason that he get held behind was because of Bulma. And Bulma is like this badass bitch that's like completely amazing.
Yeah, I love
and
her
completely
character.
holds down one of the most powerful people in all the universe, and she is able to control Goku, which I find that so fascinating because
That's his longest friend in the entire
yeah,
franchise. It's the first person he
because
meets. You know,
Bulma does the same thing once her and Vegeta hook up.
Yeah.
And does the same thing to Vegeta. She turns this like amazing prince full of pride and everything to this bumbling like, oh fuck you guys. Fine. I'll go to the stupid party. God damn it.
Yep.
You know, it's so many scenes, and I find that just fascinating. The same way that you find what's his face? The fat dude.
Yajirobe.
Yeah, Yajirobe fascinating. I find Bulma like
Bulma's awesome. She's a bitch, but like I love her character so much. She is like one of like
Namek.
Yeah, what was that?
I loved her on Namek. It was so funny.
Yes.
Dude, seriously. And for all of you that don't know who Bulma is, she is basically the daughter of the Capsule Corp president. And Capsule Corp is basically this massive conglomerate that controls all the vehicles, all the basically technology that is in this planet.
Basically, Bulma's family are billionaires.
Yeah.
Like basically.
And she runs around seeking adventures and stuff like that. And originally, the reason that they encountered Goku was because in search of the Dragon Balls.
Yes.
That's the name of the show.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's our little back history on Bulma. But she jumps on the first opportunity to jump on the ship to an alien planet. Yeah. And she kind of retrofits the spaceship to go and be able to seek out this planet. And in the meantime, her father is actually creating another spaceship based on the same technology.
Yes,
so
for Goku
could train in the meantime, and Goku gives specific instructions on how he wants this spaceship. And this starts the amazing saga that is the Freeza.
Yeah.
Freeza saga.
So, hands down, it's not my favorite saga, but you could say that the Frieza saga is probably the best saga in all Dragon Ball Z.
It's the most famous.
It is.
I don't know.
Okay.
It is.
It's the most tedious saga.
I wouldn't say it's a tedious. I would say Frieza is the best villain. Yes. It's the most fleshed out villain of all of them.
Put it this way:
I mean, he keeps coming back. Nobody else keeps coming back.
Exactly.
And what's his name?
Cell.
I think I speak faster than I think.
I think that honestly, when this played out on Funimation, I was like, dude, oh my god, I am so tired of this. Let's move on. Come on, what's gonna happen next? Like, there's literally whole episodes of them just constipated, floating in the middle of the air. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm tired of the constipation.
So many things that happen in the Frieza saga. They show up to Namek, and they get introduced to Frieza. And they find out that Frieza is basically Space Hitler, and he is the most ruthless piece of shit.
It's a he.
Yes,
it's a he.
It's a he.
By the way,
it's a man.
You wouldn't be able to tell from the voice on the English version.
No, see, on the French version, it was a guy's voice, sounding like a guy's voice, like a villain's voice. And then when I heard it in English, I literally spat out my drink. I remember it. I was so excited that I had it. When I moved from Europe to the States, it was in the middle of the Cell saga. Okay? When Tien's doing like his tri-beam attack, and because he's trying to get the other ones to get away.
Yeah, it's when he's imperfect. He's like in a second form.
Yeah. And okay. So I'd seen it when he goes perfect, but I had never seen how it finished, because then summer hit, they went back a little bit. And so when I moved here and I started and I caught it, I'm like, oh, it's on this channel. I think it was Konami at the time. I was like, okay, cool. I can finally watch it. And it was all the way back to Nappa. And I was like, oh, dear God, I'm going to have to suffer through all this again.
Well, you remember the days before the internet where they would just start.
Jesus.
They would start the show, and then they would restart the whole series again. And I'm like,
Yep.
no,
Yep.
it was just getting good. Why are you restarting this?
Fun fact about Dragon Ball Z here in the United States. So there are 2 dubs of Dragon Ball Z. There's the Ocean dub, which is really bad, and then there's the Funimation dub, which is where, like, you know, Sean Schemmel, the guy that voices Goku, and Chris Sabat, the guy that voices Vegeta, right? That's a more, like,
Which
famous...
they are such great people. I've met them in real life, like, 3 times, and I actually got an autograph of a picture of both of them from the Majin Buu.
Nice.
And Sabat actually was the first one because obviously I love Vegeta more than Goku. And he's like, oh, you gotta go and talk to what's his face?
Sean Schemmel?
Yeah.
Schemmel?
And
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I'm gonna write something on here, and I want you to tell him that I told you to ask to to actually put what you would actually say in the show. And he goes, just go straight over there. You don't have to pay anything. Just go straight over there. I want to see what he tells you. And Goku, the guy that does the Goku voice, he just flicks off Vegeta. and I was like, oh, this is so awesome. This is so great.
Yeah.
And he writes on there, like, Vegeta wrote, you will die. And then Goku just wrote, okay. ...
So, what I was saying is there's those 2 dubs, and originally we got the Ocean dub first, and they got all the way through, I think, midway through the Namek Saga, and with no warning, the next day they started over the series with the Funimation dub. Can you imagine that?
That hurt.
Like,
it hurt my soul.
I'm like, oh.
I remember when it happened. I was like,
try getting into Cell games and going all the way back to the Saiyan Saga.
That's hilarious. So
yeah. So then when I finally heard him speak in English, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, it's a chick. Like, they made him a girl.
So yeah, so the Namek Saga is great. Like, you know, you find out about Freeza, and then you find out about his, like, army and stuff like that, and that they're looking for the Dragon Balls because he wants to wish for immortality. So yes. Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma are like, oh shit.
And they land on this planet, and the first thing they realize is that Frieza, this alien from another thing, because they don't know who it is yet.
Yeah, they don't know who
they
it
don't
is.
know exactly the specifics of who this person is. And then Vegeta went back to his home, like, planet where the Saiyans are conjugated in currently.
Not their actual planet, because that's destroyed.
Exactly. That's why that got destroyed. But they conjugate on this particular planet. It's like an outpost. And he gets healed in one of those healing chambers. And he gets sent out as soon as he realizes that Frieza was going after the Dragon Balls. So Vegeta lands on Namek,
yes,
and tries to kind of figure out what's going on and find the Z Warriors to get with them and say, look, we got to get together and fight this. We got to make this random alliance and figure things out.
Yeah.
After, obviously, he realizes, dude, these guys have a scouter that finds these Dragon Balls.
Yeah, so... Oh my god, why am I hearing, like, an echo? The fuck? That was weird. You heard that, right? That wasn't just me?
No.
No?
I didn't hear.
Moving on. Let's go.
Moving on. Sorry. So yeah, then they form the alliance, and Frieza, of course, finds out about them and that they're looking for the Dragon Balls. So Frieza calls over his trusty dandy Ginyu Squad. Oh,
Ginyu Force.
The Ginyu Force, Ginyu Squad. They're a squad.
I mean, squad goals.
Yeah, they are squad goals. So the Ginyu Force consists of Ginyu, their leader, Raccoon, Jace, Birder, and Guldo. And they are not Saiyans. But they are super powerful, and they start fighting the Z Warriors. They
and coordinate it.
Yeah,
like ballerina coordinate.
Yeah, they do like little poses and shit. Before this, we also find out, because Vegeta kills one of Frieza's henchmen called Dodoria, we find out that planet Vegeta was not destroyed by an asteroid, but was actually destroyed by none other than Frieza.
Yep.
So now Vegeta has an utter hatred toward this man, more so than before, because he's never liked Frieza. And so they're fighting the Ginyu Force. They send out Guldo to fight.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Right when he starts the fight, Vegeta says, I found a couple quotes from Vegeta that I wanted to sporadically throw in there. I'll never give to you circus freaks. I'll never give in to you circus freaks. And then that's what starts the fight between the Ginyu Force and Vegeta, which is so epic.
Yeah, so they send out Guldo to fight Krillin and Gohan. Guldo is this small frog-like man with like 4 eyes, but the thing is that Guldo, when he holds his breath, can stop time. So they start fighting, and he's about to kill Gohan and Krillin, and Vegeta decapitates him and kills him. At that point, they send out Recoome, and Vegeta's like, all right, cool, it's my turn. And Vegeta goes all out, and he figures out he can't compete with Recoome. Recoome is just way too powerful. At that point, Goku shows up. Kills Recoome. Actually, he doesn't kill Recoome. He leaves him all fucked up. And then fights Ginyu. And yada yada yada. They get their body switched. They eventually get switched back. But
to a frog.
Yeah, into a frog, but it's completely screwed up. And they leave Goku in this pod like Vegeta to kind of rejuvenate.
So again, another countdown to his arrival.
Yes, another countdown to oh shit, Goku, help us get us out. So at this point, the Ginyu Force has been defeated, and the next thing that they need to defeat is Frieza. So Piccolo is back on Namek because they wished him back with the Dragon Balls. And
which Frieza barely misses.
Yes.
So they run out of wishes right when Frieza arrives, and Frieza's infuriated in one of his forms already, one of his transformations.
Yeah, and then
Wrong.
What was that?
He said that they run out of wishes. They don't actually run out of wishes. What happens is that just like on Earth, there's a guardian of Dragon Balls.
Yes.
And he dies, and the Dragon Balls turn to stone.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
And get that third wish,
yes,
which is what pisses off everybody that was looking to gain
You're right. Which is oh my god, can I remember his name? Guru, Old Man Guru. That's the old the really giant Namekian.
Then there's the little green guy.
Yeah, the little his steward basically. And
which is Dende. Dente.
Yeah, Dende.
Dende.
Yeah, Dende.
Dende.
So then they fight. Piccolo fuses with this Namekian by the name of Nail, and he basically becomes Super Piccolo. Yeah, and starts fighting Frieza, who morphs into a second form, a third form, and then his final form. Which I love his final form, the sleek design and stuff like that.
Yes, it's so badass looking.
Yeah. And
his second form is like somebody just was watching Aliens at the time that they were coming up with a second form, and they're like, "This looks cool. It will look great in white."
Yeah,
just made.
You're so right. Form. It does look like it. So they start fighting, and by the time that Frieza gets to his final form, no one can compete with him. He's on a whole nother level.
Vegeta gets completely trashed. Yeah. All the Z Warriors are completely destroyed and on the cusp of death.
Yeah, and then Goku shows up, and at that moment, Vegeta, who's like Lewis said, just been destroyed.
Kakarot, please destroy Vegeta. Destroy Frieza.
Is one of the...
He made me what I am. Don't let him do it
to
anyone else. Whatever it takes, stop him, please. And then Vegeta pleads with his life as he slowly drifts away.
And it's sad because he basically he starts crying and he's like, please save our people. Destroy this man who destroyed our world and killed our basically our race. And
I think it's the first time that we actually started not identifying, but feeling bad for Vegeta.
Oh, yeah.
Up until then, he was just a dick. And
I always felt bad for Vegeta.
That there is the part where, Frieza did what he did and, he committed genocide. But Vegeta on his own also destroyed an entire village, looking for a Dragon Ball and had no remorse about it.
Oh yeah, Vegeta's a piece of shit. Vegeta literally doesn't slightly change to like the Android Saga, but we'll like get to that later. So yeah, then Goku shows up and Vegeta pleads with him like save our people, and Frieza has a flashback to a scene where a man that looks exactly like Goku as he's destroying their planet. Bardock, sorry. Braddock. That's a fucking school here. Bardock, which is Goku's dad. And they start fighting, and at first it's okay, but then as soon as like Frieza starts powering up, Goku can't compete anymore. And so he decides to wager everything on, again, the Spirit Bomb. But at this point, not just like a small little ball, like he's going to make it into a huge bitch. And he basically tells everyone, Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin, like, buy me time so that I can gather energy for this thing. And
he makes it so big that it's not even just on Namek that he gets the energy from, because at this point in the game, there's really nothing left on Namek. Like, other than plants, everybody else is pretty much dead or has already been, whoever's left, transported out of Namek onto Earth.
Yeah, Namek is like a barren wasteland at this point. So he launches the Spirit Bomb and it connects with Frieza, and hooray, you think that Frieza is dead, and then Frieza pops back up, shoots Piccolo, and then grabs Krillin and launches him into the sky and blows him up.
And that's what sets Goku one last time into a full rage that turns him into the first time ever a Super Saiyan.
The legendary Super Saiyan, which has been a thing that they've been talking about the entire Namek and Frieza saga of,
which is about 120 episodes at this point.
It's very long. And so yeah, at this point Goku is a Super Saiyan. Everyone is like, what the hell? Which honestly, I love that transformation. My God,
it is epic.
Like when he's just like, he shouts and like you just hear like you see like the lightning striking around him.
Yeah, and then the final fight that ends up being on the boulders of the shattered planet.
Yeah, it's basically Frieza blows up the core of Namek and is like, all right, let's go. We're going to keep fighting till the end, and they keep fighting, and everyone gets transported off of Namek except them two, and Goku ends up killing Frieza, finally. But it's too late. There's no way to get off the planet, so Namek blows up. I hear an echo of me. Why? That's really weird. So, to end our episode, everyone's back on Earth, and they're like, let's wish Goku back. But the dragon tells him, I can't do that because Goku's alive.
Yep.
And that's how we'll go.
This is where, we'll leave that off there.
We'll lead on into the second episode of 3 of talking about Dragon Ball Z and how much we nerd over this shit, because God damn it, do I love this show.
Yes.
As always, guys, if you enjoy, also listen to our other shows. I'm a host on Man Bites Film. We also have
The three of us. The three of us are on this Man Bites Film.
I'm such a piece of shit. I should have said that. Yes, the three of us. I'm such an asshole. I apologize. All three of us.
We're doing this special reunion of Candlelit Blowjob of Man Bites Film crew because we all three of us are very, very passionate about Dragon Ball Z.
I love that shit. It's so good. But yeah, listen weekly. We do it every week. Man Bites Film. We also have Man Bites Retro. We have our friends over at Doctor Who Review with Diversely Geek, and also John at Narcotic Casserole on YouTube. Thank you, Lewis. This is going to be a journey.
Thank you, Brandon.
This has just started because, goddamn it, we just hit like the tip of Dragon Ball Z. It's going to be a journey. Thank you, William, for the very few times you interjected, but every time was fantastic.
You're welcome.
It's like Yajirobe, he just randomly comes in and then lays all hell and then comes right back out.
I hate you so much right now.
William is just like a man of very few words, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna. I'd rather hear what they say, and then I'll chime in when I need to. The very few times.
Would you call him Silent William?
Oh my god. I'm Brandon, and as always, keep those candles on.
And those bath salts.